And lastly, as far as how do you do some of this stuff, is the hyperbola. So hyperbola has two forms also. There's the x minus h squared over a squared minus, instead of plus as the ellipse did, y minus k squared over b squared equals 1. There's also the y minus k quantity squared over, I'm going to keep that with a b squared, minus x minus h quantity squared over a squared equals 1. Really, both of these are the same. It depends upon just which way they open. When the x is first, the positive, this opens left and right. When the y is first, the positive, this opens up and down. But they both begin the same way. There is a center, HK. There are foci. There are vertices. There's an A and a B and a C. But there are also asymptotes. And the best way to learn this stuff is to draw a picture. In order to draw this, let's first of all write an example. We'll say x minus 2 squared over 3 squared minus x plus 4 squared over 4 squared equals 1. So this is the opens left and right situation, but they both start the same way. What is the center? That is 2, negative 4. The foci we'll get later once we know what C is. The vertices we'll get later once we grab that value of C also and have it graphed it. But A underneath the x is 3. B underneath the y is 4. Sorry, should have been y plus 4. And now we can start graphing this. Let's see, 2, negative 4 to the right and down. So 2, negative 4. That's the HK, the center. From that point, you measure right and left with A. You also measure up and down with B. This creates a rectangle. Now, before with the ellipse, we would have put the ellipse inside this rectangle. But this is a hyperbola. So you then draw in the diagonals, which are the asymptotes. And so up to this point, everything is the same. This is the 3, this is the 4. C will be this hypotenuse. So this is a 3, 4, 5 right triangle. Does that make sense so far? So good. If this were the y minus k quantity squared first, it would open up and down. But it is the x minus 2, the x minus h quantity squared first. So you go on that rectangle and you approach the asymptotes. Approach the asymptotes. So of all that drawing, the only thing that is really the hyperbola are these curves. Everything else, just set it up so you can draw it. The 5 relates to, because inside the curve are the foci. This is 2 more units to the right. This is 2 more units to the left. You go 5 units to get to the foci. So what are the coordinates of the focus? Let's see. Remember, this is always going to be the same y value, -4. So the foci are going to be, this is 1, 2, and then you go 3, 4, 5, and then 6 and 7. So you can go to the center, that 2, and add 5 to get the 7. The center, and that's all we need for the y coordinate, -4. For the other one, the center, and subtract 5. So it's 2 minus 5, which gives you a -3 for this focus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And -4 is the y coordinate. The vertices are these points right here on the rectangle that we used to help draw that. So they're pretty easy also. This is, you can always go back 3 and to the right 3 to get those also in this case. So it is on the x-axis, it's always going to be -4 for the y coordinate, -4, -4. But this is 2 minus 3, which is a -1, and 2 plus 3, which is a 5. Does that make sense? So this center is going to be really helpful to find the foci, the vertices, and the asymptotes. How do you find the equations of these two lines? Well, we're going to use the point-slope form of the equation of a line. Remember, we had this y sub 1 and x sub 1 that we used before for this form, but we're just going to use this point here in the center, which is going to be the same for both, the h for the x and the k for the y. And the m is going to be the rise over the run. In this case, rise over run is going to be the 4 and the 3. And it'll be a positive slope this way and a negative slope this way. It would be a -4, 3. So those equations are not so bad. It's y minus the y value, so it's +4, equals, in this case, 4/3, x minus the x value, 2. The other one, just switch the slope to negative. So it opens left and right. The center is the 2, -4, the foci, the vertices, A, B, and C, and the asymptotes, and the graph. Pretty cool.